To most, he's a villain. But what if Superman wasn't Earth's savior, but its greatest threat? In Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, we see the world through the eyes of a genius who doesn't want to destroy Superman out of jealousy, but out of fear. And maybe, he's right. Every morning in Metropolis, sunlight reflects off the LexCorp tower, and somewhere above it, a red and blue blur watches. Superman hovers. Silent. Watching. To most, he's a guardian. To Lex Luthor, he's a ticking bomb. A god pretending to be a man. Luthor doesn't fear power, he wields it. But what he fears is power without accountability. And in Superman, he sees an alien force immune to human law, to politics, to mortality. Luthor stands in front of a wall-sized screen showing satellite feeds of Superman's every move. Not out of obsession, out of strategy. Because Lex knows, one day, the god might not be so benevolent. And when that day comes, Earth will need someone who isn't afraid to stop him. Not with fists. With ideas. Lex Luthor walks through LexCorp like a king. Not because he's arrogant, but because he's earned it. He built an empire with his mind. No mutations. No sun-born gifts. Just intellect, ambition, and relentless drive. To him, Superman's existence is an insult to every human achievement. Why strive to become more when a god from the sky can do it all effortlessly? Luthor isn't driven by hate, he's driven by the belief that mankind should own its future. And Superman, no matter how charming his smile or perfect his morals, stands in the way of human progress. Lex doesn't want to destroy hope. He wants to protect the dignity of human will. In his mind, Superman isn't Earth's greatest hero, he's its greatest crutch. Luthor doesn't plan attacks, he crafts narratives. He funds media outlets. He gives TED-worthy speeches about freedom and sovereignty. He paints Superman not as evil, but as dangerous. Subtly. Elegantly. He shifts public perception, one conversation at a time. He hires a PR firm to launch a campaign titled Human First. Nothing anti-Superman directly, just enough to make people start asking questions. Shouldn't humans solve human problems? Luthor understands that wars aren't always won with weapons. Sometimes, they're won with questions. And in a world ruled by ideas, Lex Luthor is the deadliest man alive. Lex doesn't want to kill Superman. He wants to outshine him. So he begins a new project, Hope. A genetically engineered woman named Hope Taya, with artificial strength, charm, and charisma. A symbol of human advancement. Someone who can stand beside Superman, not as a rival, but as a better alternative. Lex designs her not just to fight, but to inspire. He introduces her to the public as a humanitarian, a visionary, a woman of action. In truth, she's a weapon in the shape of an ideal. And if she must be sacrificed in the end, so be it. Because Lex doesn't build armor, he builds legacies. In one of the most intense scenes of the story, Lex invites Bruce Wayne to dinner. Billionaire to billionaire. Genius to genius. No masks. No costumes. Over wine, they discuss power. Control. Fear. Lex never mentions Superman directly. But he doesn't have to. The subtext is electric. He subtly challenges Bruce's loyalty, questions his restraint, even hints that the world's future depends on men like them, not gods. Bruce says little, but he listens. And when he leaves, Lex knows, the seeds of doubt have been planted. He doesn't need allies. He just needs cracks. Superman visits LexCorp. No battle. Just a conversation. He floats outside Lex's window like a ghost. And Lex invites him in. What follows is one of the tensest scenes ever written, a quiet war of words. Superman speaks of hope, of peace. Lex counters with liberty, with autonomy. You want to save us, Lex says, but you'll never be one of us. Superman doesn't flinch. But his eyes betray a flicker of sadness. And in that moment, Lex sees what he's always believed: Superman isn't invincible. He's alone. And Lex, for all his cruelty, is surrounded by loyal men, flawed yet free. It's not about strength. It's about control. And Lex refuses to be controlled by anyone, not even a god. Hope, Lex's synthetic symbol of humanity, finally confronts Superman. Not with violence, with ideology. She argues his presence suppresses mankind's growth. She demands he leave Earth. Superman listens. He doesn't raise a fist. But when the confrontation ends, Hope dies in a tragic explosion, an explosion Lex orchestrated. Publicly, she's martyred. Privately, she's discarded. And the headlines the next morning don't blame Superman, but they don't protect him either. Lex knew this moment would come. He planned for it. Hope was never meant to win. She was meant to make Superman lose. Lex gives a televised speech. Not about Superman. About man. About how humanity must be the architect of its own destiny. He quotes philosophers, economists, scientists. He never raises his voice, never accuses, never attacks. But the subtext is clear: we cannot be ruled by fear, even if it wears a cape. The world listens. And for a moment, even the audience, even the reader, wonders if he might be right. That's Lex's true genius. Not in science. In rhetoric. In making the impossible seem logical. The terrifying seem noble. And the villain seem justified. Lex watches Superman from his office, just as he did at the beginning. Nothing has changed, and yet, everything has. Superman still watches. Still protects. Still floats silently above a world that neither fears nor worships him fully. Lex didn't defeat him. But he shifted the world just a few degrees. Just enough. Lex knows that wars aren't always won in battles. Sometimes, they're won in the mind. He didn't destroy Superman. He did something far more dangerous. He made people question him. In the end, Lex Luthor isn't behind bars. He's not bleeding. He's not broken. He's in his tower, surrounded by glass and light and human achievements. Superman flies by in the distance. Lex watches. Not with hate. But with certainty. He knows the world isn't safe. Not from aliens. Not from chaos. But it will be ready, because of him. Not with lasers. Not with fists. With ideas. And if the world ever bows to a god, it won't be because it had no choice. It'll be because Lex Luthor wasn't there to stop it.
And that's another page in the Heroic Chronicles. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe for more untold tales from the world of comics. There's always another hero, another villain, and another turning point waiting in the shadows. See you in the next chapter.